Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The holiday travel season is here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. At San Diego International Airport, officials are expecting 1.4 million people traveling through this season. KPBS reporter Alexander Wen says that's an increase of 4 to 5% from last year.
Hundreds of people are being dropped off today, with luggage and some with dogs and baby in tow.
You know, we're a little stressed about making our flight.
Christopher Radke was in town visiting friends with his wife and daughter. Now they are traveling home to Calgary in the midst of the busy holiday travel season.
Our flight's leaving in an hour and a half. So we got here at 2 hours prior. So it's taken already a half hour to check in. So just the line doesn't seem to be moving.
The airport is anticipating about 75,000 travelers daily during the holiday travel period, ending on Monday, January 5th, with the busiest days being December 23rd, 28th, and January 4th.
And on those peak days, we anticipate about 85,000 people.
Nicole Hall is the spokesperson for the airport. She says with so many travelers at the airport, people should plan ahead.
Know how much time you need to get through the TSA checkpoint, park, and enjoy the airport.
That's what Navisa West is doing. Her flight to New York was delayed, so she's here enjoying some live music.
It's because I have my baby, so that'll keep her, in one spot, and it'll make everything smooth.
The airport will have live concerts with local performers during the holidays to help travelers de-stress before catching their flights. And to catch your flight on time, officials say you should arrive at least 2 hours early.
So we had about 90 minutes once we arrived at the airport to check all our bags in and then get to our gate, which turned out to be just enough time for us to get there.
The peak arrival times are early morning to about noon and again between 8 p.m. and midnight. So if you are arriving then, the airport says to give yourself plenty of time. And if you're picking someone up at the airport, officials suggest arranging a meetup spot at the west end of the terminals to avoid congestion. Alexander Wen, KPBS News.
A little warmer out there tonight. We'll get down to 55 in San Diego. Some low clouds will be lurking late at night. The marine layer is with us with this current pattern. Daytime weather, though, very warm. We're going to stay warm. I want to look ahead, though, later next week. Tuesday evening, rain begins to shift south. Another storm system, really a series of storms, will begin to impact us locally. So Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Wednesday and Thursday, rain comes back into the forecast. Your full forecast is coming up.
Nearly 200 sailors are back home in San Diego for the holidays after spending 9 months at sea. USS Lena Sutcliffe Higbee docked at Naval Base San Diego this morning, and it was deployed in the Western Pacific, the Middle East, and Eastern Pacific. Our media partner KGTV was there for the emotional homecoming.
How does it feel like to be reunited with your family?
It feels amazing. I love it so much. I've missed them for so long.
Yeah. What were your thoughts as you were walking down the ramp and reuniting with them?
Finally, I can see them after 9 months,
And officials say during deployment, sailors worked with our allied nations for security missions. The city of San Diego is entering the new year with a budget deficit. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says weak revenue and overspending could force some tough decisions in 2026.
The mayor and city council this summer cut funding for libraries, rec centers, arts and culture grants, and more, all to close a deficit of more than $300 million. It's been years, even decades in the making, as the city grapples with aging infrastructure and the same inflation that's hit San Diego households. Despite the budget cuts, San Diego's police and fire rescue departments are on track to exceed their overtime budgets, a drop in international tourism, and the City Council has delayed the start of parking fees in Balboa Park. Those factors and others are leading city officials to project a deficit of nearly $23 million. Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert said the Trump administration's cuts to Medicaid will be impacting the city's emergency medical services.
I just didn't think about the fact that the federal government is now going to be cutting off people from health insurance, and then we cannot bill them when we provide ambulance transport through 911. So our EMS fund after 2027 may not be where it is today.
Looking years into the future, the budget picture gets even worse, in part due to new infrastructure. When the city builds a new library or fire station, it also has to pay for ongoing staffing.
As you highlight, when we deliver new projects to meet that need, it comes at additional cost because there's an operational component to that. So I appreciate that candor.
The city's independent budget analyst has warned there are no easy fixes to San Diego's budget problems, and service cuts in 2026 will be unavoidable. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
A KPBS analysis found a big swing at the ballot box in Imperial County between the last two elections. Public Matters social media host Jake Gatta reports how Democrats made up significant ground in November.
In 2024, voters in Imperial County chose Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. It was the first time the county voted for a Republican for president since 1988. But just 1 year later, the county voted overwhelmingly in favor of Prop 50, which was seen as a referendum on the Trump administration. Trump won Imperial County by 1 percentage point in 2024, but yes on Prop 50 won by 19 points in November. That 20-point swing was the largest difference of any county in the state.
People seem to believe Trump when he said that, he could fix the economy, that Biden had let in millions of immigrants and screwed everything up, and that it was going to be easy to fix.
Adam Eakins is a political science professor at Imperial Valley College. He said those promises Trump made are now falling flat.
And I think what we've seen now is more of a return to normal, right? That this county is generally quite pro-Democrat.
But Brian Vega, the new chair of the Imperial County Democratic Party, said his organization's outreach made a big difference as well.
We were not aligned because we had lost the plot. We were so strained from community. Politics was really being handled at a level where it was more transactional, and it wasn't centered around community.
After Vega was elected chair in January, he set out to reorient the party around that sense of community and reclaim their identity.
We have left the party identity up for interpretation. So what we have to do now is kind of go out there and mend a lot of the relationships, and we are the working party. We are the people's party.
The shift in Imperial County was the biggest, but both San Bernardino and Riverside counties also voted for Trump in 2024 and voted yes on Prop 50 in 2025.
The fact of the matter is people do vote based on vibes more than based on data. And it's very unscientific of me to say so, but you can feel how different the vibe is now than it was a year ago.
The California GOP and Republican Party of Imperial County did not respond to a request for comment. Jake Gatta, KPBS News.
Public Matters is a partnership with KPBS, iNewsSource, and Voice of San Diego. You can see more of our stories at kpbs.org/publicmatters. Most people have heard the message loud and clear. Spaying and neutering is the solution to our overcrowded animal shelters. For 3 straight months, the San Diego Humane Society has set new records for the number of adult dogs in their care. I wanted to get a close look at how the shelter gets the surgical job done in high numbers, day after day. It's 8:30 in the morning at the San Diego Humane Society, and like every Monday, the doors are closed to the public, but the veterinary team here is gearing up for a busy day. Inside the Body Center for Shelter Medicine, the calm before the very controlled and well-orchestrated storm to spay and neuter as many animals as possible. By 9 a.m., the surgical list is set. Veterinary manager Sylvia Nagy's first case this morning is Eeyore.
Puppy Eeyore weighed 36 pounds today.
A spunky 4-month-old puppy found wandering Barrio Logan. No microchip and not neutered.
He's going to be pre-medicated for surgery.
But what he does have is an imminent adoption by the family that found him. While Nagy scrubs in, Eeyore pieces out. As Eeyore gets shaved, Leah, a 4-year-old Siberian Husky, is having her bladder manually expressed.
So their bladder, when they are looking for the uterus, gets right in the way. So we like to express it so it's smaller and more out of the way.
It's now 10 a.m. and Leah is being positioned for her spay. It's also Eeyore's time to shine under the surgical lights.
I'm going to begin the surgery. The surgery is a pre-scrotal neuter. The one testicle is isolated.
And because of the high volume of spays and neuters, smaller incisions mean faster surgeries. Less than 7 minutes later,
the testicles have been removed and getting him ready for the next part, which is the recovery part.
The shelter spays and neuters between 30 and 50 animals per day here, 22,000 animals so far this year.
It's impressive. I'm so proud of this team and the work that we do.
Danielle Clem is the senior hospital director here.
Most that we've done was maybe 70 or 80 in one day.
Last December, KPBS produced a special program detailing the overcrowded shelter crisis situation. Clem says the problem persists with record-breaking numbers in recent months. The organization is operating at 167% capacity for dogs.
A spay or neuter might seem like just another elective procedure, but in the shelter setting, there's much more sense of urgency with that procedure because we know it's that animal's ticket out of the shelter and into their new home.
And that ticket is what they're hoping to give Leah the Husky. She's being spayed on an adjacent table. Male dogs take only a few minutes to be neutered. Female dogs, especially adult ones like Leah, take longer.
How's she doing? She's doing good. Okay.
Nagy's on to her next patient, also a female.
So you're actually doing an ovariohysterectomy, which is a fairly complicated and extensive procedure. Just like in a woman, it's internal, and so that's why it's more complicated in the dog.
Spaying and neutering is more than just population control. Clem says that it can save your pet's life by eliminating innate but dangerous escaping behavior. She says there's a common theme to most traumatic emergency cases that they see here.
Most of those animals are intact, and so by eliminating that urge to escape and to roam, we can keep our pets safer and healthier as well.
The organization wants to take affordability off the table as an excuse. They offer low-cost spay and neuter to the community with more than 60 appointments every week.
Availability really shouldn't be an excuse either. We have plenty of appointments that aren't getting booked, and so I really encourage people to, just make that choice and schedule an appointment.
Next on the surgery list is cats. And by 2 o'clock, the surgeries are wrapped. Remember Eeyore? His new family came to pick him up just a couple of hours later. And along with his new life, he was bequeathed a new name.
His name is Grover. Because I think after we dropped him off here at the Humane Society, we pretty immediately knew that he was going to end up back with us.
Maya Trabulsi.
Bye. Thank you for adopting.
KPBS News.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the News Hour, the Justice Department releases a long-awaited trove of documents related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. That's at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
"2025 delivered a year full of news. A familiar face returned to the White House. Fires and floods forever changed cities and communities across the country. A new pope was chosen. And following an extended out-of-this-world adventure, 2 American astronauts finally made it home. Michael Yoshida has this look back on the biggest stories of the year.
2025 began with back-to-back tragedies. New Year's celebrations turned deadly in New Orleans. A terror attack shutting down the city's famed Bourbon Street. Just days later,
We drove up and I just kept saying, my home, my home.
deadly and destructive fires tear across Los Angeles, destroying thousands of homes.
We wanted to see for ourselves what the damage was, but it's gone. It's gone. It's a total loss.
Heartbreak in Texas. Young girls attending summer camp among the more than 130 people who lost their lives in catastrophic flooding.
Please pray for our community.
And tragedy in our nation's capital. A passenger jet colliding with a U.S. Army helicopter, the deadliest U.S. plane crash in nearly 2 decades.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
Donald Trump returned to the White House. Job and spending cuts, tariffs, and immigration enforcement and raids becoming political and social flashpoints. court battles, protests, and marches playing out across the country. The president claiming there was widespread crime, ordering National Guard troops to several U.S. cities, leading to clashes with protesters.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
A White House shouting match as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Trump, and others met about Russia's invasion into Ukraine. Months later, a red carpet welcome for Russian President Vladimir Putin landing on American soil. But the high-stakes summit in Alaska did not end with a deal to end the Russia-Ukraine war. 2 years after Hamas attacked Israel, a ceasefire agreement reached. The last living Israeli hostages held by Hamas released in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners and detainees. In October and November, we saw the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Fights over health care dividing Congress. The 43-day saga ending with a deal to reopen through January. 6 years after his death, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein back in the spotlight. A twists and turns saga from the White House to Capitol Hill as survivors pushed for release of the so-called Epstein files.
I know everybody sees us today as grown adults, but we are fighting for the children that were abandoned and left behind in the reckoning.
The assassination of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk stunned the country.
It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals.
Comedian Jimmy Kimmel following criticism and political pressure over comments related to Kirk's death taken off air. Free speech protests ensued before Kimmel eventually returned to hosting his late-night show the following week. And our nation said goodbye to political pillars. The 39th President Jimmy Carter honored. And Dick Cheney, vice president under George W. Bush, also remembered. Tributes poured in across the globe after the death of Pope Francis. White smoke revealing the first Latin American pontiff would be replaced by the first American Pope, Leo XIV, a Chicago White Sox fan turned leader of the Catholic Church. A brazen heist at the world's most visited museum, thieves robbing the Louvre of jewels estimated to be worth more than $100 million. And after what was supposed to be a short mission to space stretched into more than 9 months, NASA astronauts Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmore finally returned home.
Thank you to a nation that got involved in all of this. It makes it special, not just for us, but for all, I think our nation as a whole.
Pretty honored and humbled by the fact of when we came home, like, wow, there are a lot of people who are interested.
I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Thousands of families are wondering how they will afford rent next year now that an emergency rental assistance program is coming to an end. The Housing Stability Assistance Program was created to help families during the COVID-19 pandemic. The San Diego Housing Commission says the vouchers were supposed to last until 2030, but due to funding cuts, they will now come to an end in August, and that means more than 400 other families will lose that benefit about 5 years early.
We were homeless on the streets of San Diego for about almost 3 years. I'm feeling frustrated, overwhelmed. It's like living in a bizarro world. It's a constant back to waiting on the edge.
The Housing Commission is working on solutions to account for the funding cut. One is asking Housing and Urban Development to designate all people who are on emergency housing vouchers as homeless so they can be put back into the system and be placed into new housing. Many students are headed home for the holidays. With winter break upon us, there's a lot to look forward to, but this time away from school and structure may lose some of its luster after a while. Mandy Gaither has more from a therapist.
When the classrooms are empty, sometimes your house can feel a little full.
Bronson, can you just eat that pancake that you have right now? No.
Winter break can sneak up on you, and it can start out fun, but as the days stretch out, you may feel differently, says licensed therapist Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta.
Maybe I'm kind of dreading it, or maybe I'm overwhelmed at the idea of realizing I have to get some work done still, but also entertain my kids.
Baumstein says to first recognize what you feel. Just that acknowledgement can make those feelings more manageable, and realize that others within your home may have mixed feelings.
You might have one kid who's really excited for the break and others who are kind of bummed. They maybe are missing their friends or some routine that they usually enjoy. and that's all okay.
Next, set expectations early. Baumstein says to make sure everyone's on the same page with daily routines like bedtime, meal times, and chores. She says you want to aim for balance.
A lot of times our brains kind of think in terms of all or nothing, black or white, but we don't want it to be either super rigid and very, very structured or a free-for-all. Neither extreme is great for us, and especially not great for kids.
And if the luster of winter break wears off, Baumstein says to remember it's okay for children to be bored.
We can encourage boredom. We can really set them up to see it as an opportunity, not something to fear or dread.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Baumstein says that it's also important for parents to manage screen time for their children over the holidays, just like you should when school is in session. She says managing expectations of how long they're allowed on devices is key to avoiding conflict when the screen time limit is up.
Well, we have some pretty active weather coming on the horizon into the second half of Christmas week. But for now, things are relatively warm. Dry weather is still with us, and we're doing okay in terms of comfortable weather during the day. Storm track is going to stay north for now, but it will gradually be pushing decisively and firmly south, bringing us some rain starting Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So there will be some travel impacts. We'll look at the travel maps in just a little bit. Tonight, though, partly cloudy, 55, a little warmer out there tonight. And the rain stays well to the north up near Interstate 80 this Saturday. Still warm across the interior Southwest, relatively warm for us in Southern California as well. It's about 64 degrees into San Diego, but Ramona 73 in Borrego Springs. Mount Laguna 57 up high in the mountains. Escondido 70 for your high. More clouds in the morning, brighter in the afternoon. The rain takes a half step closer to us on Sunday. Not a big change Saturday to Sunday, but it does still stay well to the north, so we're going to stay dry and relatively warm in the inland areas, and through early next week or into early next week, it'll remain warm in many areas here across the interior Southwest. But things change in a big way. The jet stream buckles south, and that reorients the flow into the middle and latter part of next week. So we're going to have multiple storms impact northern, central, and eventually southern California with some rain. The heaviest rain maybe to our north, but we're going to see some rain out there Thursday especially. So Wednesday, Christmas Eve, and Thursday, Christmas Day. So the travel impacts, if you are traveling north Monday, you're going to encounter issues once you hit about Interstate 80 up near San Francisco. Tuesday, Los Angeles, late in the day, we'll begin to see some showers. We're still dry Tuesday. Wednesday, we step into trouble, though. Heavy rain up to the north into L.A. We're going to have some showers off and on. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, more showers around, periods of rain, heavy snow in the mountains, feet of snow up in the Sierra, which is ultimately good news. I-95, if you're traveling way east, looking good. So the coastal forecast, fog in the morning, afternoon sunshine, and look at this. Here comes the rain, heavy at times on Christmas Eve. It'll be a big change for us. Let's go into the inland areas. Similarly, low clouds and fair weather in the afternoon. Low clouds in the morning, fair weather in the afternoon. Showers, some heavy, cooler on Wednesday. It's coming in. As we take you into the mountains, temperatures in the 50s for most days, mix of sun and clouds. Then the showers roll in, temperatures begin to tumble, and we'll be around 47 for your high on Wednesday in the mountains. And then in the deserts, we'll also see showers return even to the dry spots beginning on Wednesday with a big drop in temperatures. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
San Diego is one of the final 3 cities bidding to host the 2029 Invictus Games. The international adaptive sports event features disabled veterans from 24 countries. KPBS military and veterans reporter Andrew Dyer talked with local organizers.
The Invictus Games Foundation this month cut 6 finalists from around the globe to 3, San Diego, Aalborg in Denmark, and Daejeon in South Korea. Now the competition really heats up. Andy Solar is the co-chair of San Diego's bid committee.
I think if you live in San Diego, you can't help but be connected in some way with the military. This is just a chance for the community to get out and cheer on and see some of our heroes in action.
If awarded to San Diego, the games will primarily be held at the convention center downtown. San Diego Navy veteran Giselle Rama competed with Team USA at this year's games in Vancouver. Rama was medically retired from the Navy after being injured in the USS Bonhomme Richard fire in 2020. She says hosting the games here would be huge for veterans like her.
Our communities need Invictus. Like, they need just the power and the secret sauce of what these games bring. And it brings a lot of healing to people here, too.
Solar says the games are different from other competitions. It's about camaraderie and healing more than about winning. He says the best athletes don't necessarily make the teams.
The Invictus Games takes the position on how would a competitor benefit most, or who would benefit most by competing in the Invictus Games.
The selection committee will visit San Diego this spring, which is when Solar says they'll show the committee why the city should host the games. In June, they'll travel to London to make a presentation. And in July, the Invictus Games will announce which city will host the 2029 games.
It's a waiting game, but we're really, really excited.
Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
And we want to remind you, you can get the latest from KPBS delivered right to your inbox. We have a variety of newsletters, including daily headlines, KPBS Arts, streaming picks, and our North County Focus. You can go to kpbs.org, and from there you can look for the newsletter section. It'll be at the top of your screen, and you can sign up and with your email address. And be sure to join us tonight for KPBS News This Week, where we revisit the most impactful and intriguing original reporting of the week. This Week airs every Friday at 8:30 right here on KPBS. And, of course, you can always find all of our stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.